There you go. There you go. There you go. I don't know how to make that music slowly fade out. Slowly fade out. That's what I'd like, a slow fade out. Am I in sync? Is everything going well? I hope it is. Hello. Look at you all. This is all very exciting. Like I say, I hope everybody can hear me fine and everything's good. So far, we've got a few people in the room. We've got a few people here and there. We got Honeysuckle Creek. Hello again. Always here. Thank you, Ellen. All my love and kisses to my main lady, Ellen. Lady Chocolate, who's going to get eaten if she's not careful. And Rosworth. Hello. Snow White. Hello. Evening. What's he saying there? Tad past my bedtime. I'm here. Well, Snow White's probably in the UK then, if it's Tad past her bedtime, because it's about 5 o'clock over there in the States. Okay, can't post comments to. What up? What up? What up? Everybody's here. Goody goody gumdrops. It's really nice to see people hanging around. There's some lovely messages coming in. My name is Dan, for anyone who's curious. Ha! Dan! See, I thought Honeysuckle Creek, I thought that was maybe a lady, you see. I thought that. Oh, my God. Am I reading that right? Is that Black's Parson? Hello. Hello. I thought that was, I thought it was just black person. I thought it was just like nondescript. Hello, I'm white person, you're black person. I'm here with Bella Boo Boo, who's here to say, oh yes, she'd be like, why you lifted me up? I was sleeping, I was enjoying myself. Nice to hear everybody. Nice to see everybody even. Awesomeness, awesomeness. Yes, yes, yes. So, how are we doing today? Let some more people come in. The room's getting a couple more people here and there. And yeah, she's a cutie, Bella Boo Boo. She's pretty gorgeous. She's out. She is. Lots of people say they don't expect me to quite have a dog that looks like this. Hey, Bella. Yeah. But she's awesome. She's like she's off the lead nearly all the time. So she's a proper like, she sticks by my side and we go wandering around the streets of Cardiff. And she goes and meets people beforehand so that warns them that I'm on my way. Yes. Anyway, so we're here. It's an Ask Me Everything. Really, it's an Ask Me Everything. Can you believe that I'm doing it? I've never done an Ask Me Anything before. This is what it is. It's a Friday night. I might make a regular thing of Friday nights. I wasn't going to be able to do this because I couldn't really afford to have a StreamYard subscription. But multiple people have been helping me out and helping me find some work and stuff. I mean, some really nice, Loose Cannon, just wonderful the way she's helped me out find some work. Carter as well. Carter, if he's here, hope he is. Thanks for helping too. Really appreciate the help. Here we go. I wanted to ask you. Ooh, let's see. We got a first question. This is. I want to be more open with this one. Normally, I've got loads set up. This time, I got a couple of things. We can have. I wanted to have a little look at what Times Radio described as the most insane things Putin said during the interview with Tucker Carlson, because I didn't watch the interview. I've just seen like the bits that they've highlighted, and it's not that insane. I've also, to celebrate King Charles's admission into hospital, I've got a little bit of a documentary that I'm not sure anybody here will have seen. Very interesting documentary. I would suggest that you see it. It's not necessarily about Charles. It's called "Was Jimmy Savile a Wizard 1.0?" I know that sounds like a silly thing, but watch a little bit of that, because honestly, by 5 minute watch, you'll go, "Oh my god, Jimmy Savile was a wizard." There you go. It is a brilliant documentary. So let's start off though. It's an Ask Me Anything. So that means that even though we're going to have a couple of things to do, and I'm sure we'll find some things, and maybe we'll see something, I want to concentrate on questions here. If anyone's got any questions about anything at all, I'm really happy to ask anything. Now, some of them I won't know. So hi Johnny, that's me, by the way. Just wanting to ask, are you aware of the lawsuit in Vince McMahon WWE? Also, you're aware that people who support Vince want rape, sexual assault legalized as well. Well, hell, no, I wasn't aware of that. You know, I want to say I'm not surprised by the idea that an aggressive sport like WWE would be fronted by people who are seeking power over other people. You know, it seems pretty obvious. Now, there's certain elements to that which the other side uses. You know, the evil people who want to control society will use, because they could choose anybody who people don't like and make some claim about them, and that hurts their career regardless of whether it's true or not. But again, like I say, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And when you say that people who support Vince want rape or sexual assault legalized as well, I'd like to see what you mean by that, Mr. Alex. But I wasn't aware of that. But there's a lot of weird stuff like that happening. I mean, is a push to legalize the unlegalizable? You know, um, I remember someone contacted me. I had a Proton Mail account at once. People who email me now are like, "Why are you on Gmail?" It's because I had two Proton Mail accounts, and I got locked out of both of them because someone's like messed around with my accounts and means it's blocked and I can't get into them anymore. So I got kind of peed off with that. I set up a couple other accounts, and I just got like, oh, I just got fed up. If they're gonna delete me, they're gonna delete me, and I'll get another account then. Um, but one of the people I was speaking to on that Proton Mail account was actually, this was a few years, about 3 years ago, was researching. I think they've already like come out with a bit of it, researching the guy who was the head of Pornhub, whose father was high up in Judaism somewhere and didn't know that what his son was doing, and they were after like their thing was wanting to see. I don't even want to say it. You know, when muscles in the butt get blown, that's what they wanted to see. They want to see the worst things. They want to see pain. They want to see how far they can push the boundaries. And that's obvious. They also wanted to change and lobby for laws as well. A lot of these people do. If you've got more, listen, Mr. Alex, if you've got more information on that, send it to me. Uh, by Twitter, and note down on here you sent it to me, and I'll go and have a look and bring it up if I can. But I wasn't aware, but I'm not surprised. But then also, when I'm not surprised, I'm always like, well, if something doesn't surprise me, that's also the thing they like to use to manipulate you into believing something that's not true. So I'm always, concerned about that. I'd like to ask a question to all of you. A question that do you all think, and now I don't have much information on this, but I'm researching something at the moment that suggests that there was a bit of a ruse played. Do you all think that Woody Allen was guilty? That's uh, what's that noise going on? Is that you making those noises? Sorry, my dog's making the most bizarrest noises. Then, wah, wah, wah. Do you think Woody Allen was guilty of molesting children? Do you think that was so? There's some evidence that's come to light for me now that it seemed that because he went out with an extremely young girl who he was related to, and that was all creepy, that it was very easy for the Me Too movement to then plant him as, like, say, oh, he was obviously a paedophile as well. Um, and I'm looking into it at the moment, and I don't know anything, but I'd be interested to hear if you guys think that he was guilty just because he fits the bill, or because of how he's acted or how he responded to it. So interested to see what's that. Of course, McMahon, yes. Um, we have chocolate people and chocolate trees here in Colombia. It's true. Ellen was just before, about an hour and a half ago. Ellen was sending me images of chocolate, which I know most people, they'll send naughty images to each other. Well, Ellen's images were really naughty. They may want to make me eat loads of chocolate. That's what they do. Oh my god. Oh my god. Right. Okay. So what have we got here? You come in contact with popular clickbait grifters, where the lines between them, between using them and being used. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, stoner horoscopes. I like your name. That's a wicked picture you got there. You come in contact with popular clickbait grifters. Yes. Where is the line between using them and being used? Okay, well, I if you come in contact with popular clickbait grifters, then you have to work out case by case. You don't know until you've kind of worked out what people are doing. I mean, give me a little bit more, if you want to give me a little bit more nuance into that, because basically I do, if I get clickbait grifters, and I'm doing research, I do deep research, and soon the people who have, if something's suspicious, when I'm researching, like, why am I researching this? This isn't leading where I think it was going to lead, or there's nothing here, or something like that. Then it makes me look at the person who gave me that information. So you have to examine everybody who gives you information. Uh, there's Renee. Renee, hello, Renee Lee Greco. Just saying back to Alex, I'm not surprised. Yeah, the rumor mill is Elon Musk owning fertility clinics. Oh my God, it's just getting a little bit Epstein there. Elon Musk, if he starts, I mean, Elon Musk may be what Epstein wanted to be, or maybe becoming what Epstein wanted to be. Right, let me see if I can work. It's going to take me a little bit of time to get used to some of this, but remember, ask the questions. King Charles hospitalization was fake, an advert for mRNA cancer vaccine. Was it? Do you think it was for the cancer vaccine, or because lots of people want to believe that it was the mRNA jab that has potentially given him that? Someone said to me, yeah, but he wouldn't have got that batch, would he? He would have got the good batch. And I was like, what good batch is there of an experimental medication? But of course there was, and there has been evidence that the batches they put out were very different. So that could be so. I'm not sure if it was exactly fake. There you go to Snow White acid. Do you think Charlie Boy has actually got cancer? I don't know. I mean, I want to say it's terrible to say, but I want to say I hope so. I want to say, God, fingers crossed, eh? Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy and all of that. But to be perfectly honest, cancer is an awful thing. I don't know. I think that his ratings are pretty low, aren't they? I think he's not the most popular ruler of all time, especially in Britain when the BBC go and they do like they interview people outside palaces or stuff. Then what they tend to do is ask them, ask the people who have got kingpins all over their heads, like "I love the monarchy" written on their T-shirt, and "Oh, I hope you're well, Charles." And they tend to go to those people, and you get the same answers over and over again. I believe that most of the British public are like, "Oh, I really don't care about him. Oh, he's a disgusting man. Oh, he's not very nice." But that won't be represented in polls, of course. I don't know whether he's got cancer or not. I doubt it, but in the same way, these guys, I mean, they are humans. They are humans. Are they humans? Are they humans? Are they humans? That may be the best question to ask. Are they humans? Well, are they humane? Are they humane? Do you need to be humane to be human? Um, Renee says, I asked Prince William about Nicole Youngman on X, and shortly after, Kate landed in hospital. In the hospital. Are you having a joke? Because that is a funny joke. If you are having a joke, Nicole Youngman could do that to people. Ask Nicole Youngman. Yeah, I am having a stroke, a Youngman stroke. Lady Chocolate. Charlie is cover for KK Kate being in a coma. Willie served papers, and I think ended in a DV situation. What's the DV situation? I don't know what a DV is. Oh, I wish I knew what a DV is. Willie served paper, and I think it ended in. Are you suggesting that Kate is going to be what's the term? Divorcing William? Is that what you're suggesting? Oh, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. Um, who Fred on Twitter? So much propaganda about it. Then he says he doesn't believe in radiation therapy and went to new alternative cure. Okay, that does sound a little bit more like it, but hopefully that new alternative cure will get him, won't it? Question. Do you think Musk, if you could put a question mark at the end of your question, just so I know, and then I'll treat that as a question. But do you think Musk will go to prison for RICO or other? No, Musk is untouchable. He had too many Department of Defense contracts. Listen, if Musk is an extremely useful component to the next generation of tech. There's something we can talk about with Musk. There's something happening with X Spaces. I was discussing it with someone earlier off the record. Someone who brought in a point that's very interesting. Grok, you know Grok, Nicole Youngman. Talking about Nicole Youngman, she's one of the investors in Grok. Grok, GORQ, is like an AI engine, and they use it on lots of different platforms, and they are filling it up with data at the moment. The thing about AI is that it's got to be fed with masses of data all of the time. Come on, doggy. Oh, wait, stay with me then. Sorry, I'm grabbing me dog if it looks dodgy. Honest. Grok is like an AI engine that takes in like lots of AI data and is very complex. And I don't think we quite understand yet what it's capable of, but it's going to be capable of some serious stuff. And I think, and this other person suggested it and led me to be like, oh God, obviously, yeah, I hadn't thought about it properly before. But X spaces and stuff, that's an amazing scraping device for information. You know, if they want to scrape data of humans, then they need to get AI up to a sufficient level. They need to feed it full of as much information as possible. And that is an amazing way to do it, isn't it? Loads of people talking and just feeding in that data all of the time, more and more data all of the time. So the question is then, are all of the grok and stuff like that, the data, uh, is that leading somewhere? Is that leading to a place where some of the people who are on things like X spaces aren't really people? Okay, I know this is a bit wild. I'm going to say something wild here. Someone else said it to me earlier, and I was like, fuck. Because it makes sense about a certain account. I've been tracking a certain account which someone else knows it. I wouldn't say about it yet, but there's one account that sounds like it may be someone in particular that we're talking about, Elon. And I wonder if it's a construct AI account, you see, and expect that we're going to start seeing construct AI accounts that sound like real, do the organizing, and are being fed with masses of data. So there's something else going on in the world right now, not just the superficial, something underneath, and it's to do with AI. Hey Johnny, great work. Oh, independent review. Wow. I hope that's Ryan. So what we got? I've always been curious of the Pacer family, and second, with your work on Nicole Youngkerman, I noticed Paul Allen on your board. And was curious of your thoughts on that clown. Well, Paul Allen being the deceased Microsoft head, he's not easy to look at. Nicole Youngkerman attended an event with him in, I think it was 2003, 2004. I believe it was maybe Harvey Weinstein organized Cinema Against AIDS or something it's called, that they actually attended. And he seemed like he was really an interest. I mean, he was the other part to Microsoft. He was the other hand to Microsoft in an extent. I'd like to do more research on him. I find very suspicious that he died in the way he did. But though he didn't look healthy, he kind of reminds me of David Mellor in looks, and a British politician who was really awful to look at. And the picture of him in Youngkerman is so out of. I mean, Youngkerman's an elite model, and he's Paul Allen. So if that's Paul Allen you're talking about, also go Wales, go Scotland, and Mr. Graham is saying that for a reason. See, oh yes, he is, because it's Six Nations rugby at the moment. So it's a rugby tournament, and it's all very good. Is it Six Nations? Yeah, it is Six Nations. Right, let's not get stuck on rugby. Oh, you mentioned the P family. Ding, ding, ding. So I take it they are pizza. Is it we're talking about pizza? Pizza. Is that how it's spelt? Are we? Are we? Are we? Is this? Oh my God! I can't even. I can't even type at the moment. It seems. It's family. Um, I don't know anything about them, and they're one of the wealthiest families in the world. Ooh, oh, wow! I tell you, ooh, I tell you, we will. I will look into that and find out. You always come up with some interesting stuff. Yeah. So you mentioned the P family, yeah, because they're demons. I'd love to know more about them. Yeah, me too. I do think I maybe I'm do you pronounce it Pizarre, and that's why, or Pizarre, and I'm not sure. Anyway, no, I haven't done masses into that. I'm just flicking through the lines. Yes, he's married. Do you? What more do you need? Oh, okay, right. There we're talking about. Yeah, yeah. He married his daughter. Okay, so Woody Allen. Sorry to skip back onto this. Yes, he married his daughter. What more do you need? Precisely. What more do you need if you want it handed on a plate? It's awful, isn't it? It's awful. Does it mean that he was molesting her when she was young? Does that is that also true? And then is all of the other things about him? Sorry, just itching my foot. Is all of the other things about him true? Um, I'd be interested to know about that. Wasn't Woody Allen an Epstein Island visitor? I don't know, but he is one of the many on the New York scene. And this is where he comes up, because when you investigate Epstein, when you investigate all these guys, you come across um, uh, lots of nasty people. Everyone from Harvey Weinstein was hanging out in New York, to Epstein, to others. You think about Bill Cosby's living there. What opposite is it? Opposite Epstein, Bill Cosby's living, and then Woody Allen's a couple of doors down, or something like that. So it seems like there's a network, but there was also a concerted effort by the Me Too movement to basically destroy loads of like people they possibly could. Doesn't necessarily mean they're innocent, doesn't necessarily mean they're guilty, but the people who were doing it are also, they're just like, they always seem to target certain people that they know they can target, so that they, and it's an agenda to stop looking at somewhere else. This is what I always find. So I'd be very interested to see, and I'm going to look into it because it's part of something that I am looking into. Well, as Lady Chocolate said, he's a freak. Yes. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Bizarre question. Do you think Epstein-style child trafficker could be an aspect of UFO secrecy? So what do you mean? Do you mean that they would be giving kids to aliens? Or that they... I'm not sure what that would mean. But yeah, if that's what you mean, do you think Epstein-style child trafficking could be aspect of UFO secrecy? That would be a hard one to prove for sure, because there's like double layers of security. I I would say that, okay, if you want, if you if you're just posing, like if I was to say that I believe, because I don't really believe, here we go, I don't believe in UFOs. I believe, of course, you can have a flying object in the sky that's unidentified. I believe that. But I don't necessarily believe in the idea of UFOs coming from space and etc. I think that when we look at how big and vast the universe is, it would take an incredible amount of power, energy, sense to get distance. And if there was, we would have known already, because what can we tell from our own progression? We can tell that technology basically takes over civilization eventually. And what does technology do? It looks for everything it can to get more information and to scan for more information. So what are we likely to have seen? Robots. We're likely to have seen extraterrestrial robots before we've seen any extraterrestrial. Have we seen any? Well, maybe, but we don't know, because it's all cloaked in secrecy, and it could just be a flickering thing on a screen or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that UFOs exist. That might be a bit of a letdown for some people, because they might want me to be a UFO fan, but I'm not quite sure it's true. Stoner Horoscope. When you said you come in contact with people who are clickbaited, blah de blah de blah. You say down here, Josh, Champagne Josh recently. I'm not sure, still not sure what you mean, but if like we were taught, we did have one comment. I mean, I've had a couple, because we've done about 3 spaces, me and Champagne Josh have done together. He's a nice guy, is Josh. I like him, Josh Walcos. And they've been really calm, clever rooms, but they've been quite long, so there's a lot of information. So if you're referring to one statement, I kind of remember something that seems like this, but I can't remember what we were talking about specifically. So again, if you want to ask the question in a form that reminds me, then I'd appreciate it. Aurelius X, or is it Zarilius X, or Zarilius? I never know. I'll just call you Aurelius for the time being. Also, Johnny, on Epstein, is there any chance that Epstein himself was groomed when he was young in 10D at Interlochen? Yeah. Norfolk Island was nearby, and Francis Sheldon was a local rich paedophile who owned an island And he was a pilot too. Well, that is very interesting because those are the type of loops that work out. Now, what I was going to say about the UFO question, um, Epstein was one of the things that come up in the Epstein files spaces was me and Ian Carroll talking about the the journeys that went through Newfoundland Island. Now that was military base, really far out of the way, massive land, not sure what's going on up there. He would meet John Luke Brunel, who was recruiting children. They would go to this place, maybe unload. That could be that's speculation, and then go back to their to America without any children on board. So there is a possibility that that was a smuggling route. Now that would also be a great place for UFOs if you went out in the middle of nowhere. So maybe there's so, but again, when we're talking about this and we're talking about Interlochen. Another thing that came up in the Epstein files was that lawyer. I can't remember her name. I can't remember what her name was. She got really angry when we were talking about Interlochen, and we were saying that there was she was like, I know that organization and there's nothing wrong in it. But Epstein had his own chalet there. He had his own cabin there. He had a private cabin there, right across from where all these little teenage girls were. So that didn't make any sense. And so he obviously continued to have a relationship with Interlochen after he himself went there. And the idea that you would be groomed, yeah, okay, I could accept that. That he goes on to molest because he himself has been molested or something along those lines. That's very big possibility. I think Epstein, by what I can tell so far, and I haven't proven this yet, but the early 80s, 70s, and early 80s, he's not. It's not seem. It looks like he's trying to maintain normal relationships with neurotypical women of normative age, you could say, 18 and above. So, this is something that maybe develops later on. His love for young girls, but I doubt it. You probably have it there the whole time, and it's probably come from somewhere. So that's very interesting. You should remind me of Francis Sheldon's name by my DMs, Aurelius, and I'll look into that because Interlochen is something that we obviously have to look into. Uh, Ellen says, rumor is Musk is working on buying Disney. Oh my God, can you imagine? Maybe he'd save it. Who knows? It's such a dead organization, in my opinion. I mean, it's doing death spirals over and over again. The best the best Disney had to offer were in the 80s and 90s, in my opinion. I was very lucky. A lot of us are very lucky to have been brought up during a time where things like Beauty and the Beast and stuff were coming out, like really good Disney movies that were really cleverly made with really lots of art in there. Let's see. Nick Anonymous is here as well. And Aurelius says again, back to Black's Parson, it is possible. I can't frame a likelihood. I suspect that there is NIHI here already monitoring us, and that the various governments engage in reverse engineering attempts while they continue to jockey for power and position on the planet. Very good. I could be very wrong about everything when it comes down to. I listen. I know that I'm someone who likes evidence and all of that, but I am well happy to admit that I'm wrong when something else changes or something comes to light. But I got to work on evidence, and there's not enough evidence for it at the moment. Actually, the evidence is like it's usually them trying to mess with our minds about aliens. So I just don't know about that sort of stuff. Johnny, they killed my favorite country singer. Oh, man, which favorite country? They killed Johnny Cash. Hell, holy hell in a they. Are you talking about John Denver? They might be talking about John Denver. I'm not sure. Um, as if a royal will ever get cancer. These people are the best food and use natural remedies. Yeah, you're quite right. I believe that they're, they're not getting the boop-boops, you know, they're not getting the jabs. I don't think that's necessarily true. So at the same time, I'm like, ooh, maybe he's got cancer. Maybe it's because of this. I doubt that they would actually get the jabs and stuff, and they get the best stuff. Is true. They also get colonic irrigation. The Queen has not wiped her bum in a long, long time. Oh no, she's dead. Well, the King hasn't wiped his bum either in a long time, even with his gold toilet seat. They still get colonic irrigation. Here you go. I sent you a link, the King Charles thread to your ex. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, yeah, agreed. Nick Anonymous. Who was that? Toby Keith got the job. Okay, right. Wait, I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Lone scum cannot be trusted. X marks the spot. Ooh, I don't know what that means. You could tell me what that means. Toby Keith got the jab. Oh, got the jab. Got the jab. Oh, so is Toby? Sorry, is Toby Keith a country singer? I've not heard of his stuff. If he's I didn't know that he was a country singer. What have we got here? So he will not be going for chemo. That's first plebs. Yes. Oh, yes. Do you, talking about chemo? Yes, he doesn't believe in chemo. Oh my God, that's amazing. That he goes against. But isn't it if you go through chemo, it's something like 13% of people survive or some stuff like that? That's insane. Or and they basically have to stop before it kills you. I just don't think chemo makes any sense whatsoever. I know a woman. I know a woman. Everybody can say this. I know a woman who used to. Before I went to Chile, I was working in a little two-star hotel on a reception desk, yeah, called Travel Lodge, and there was a lady there who I still speak to every now and again on Facebook. She's a lovely lady. Her and her husband die. They used to come and they used to always stay there so that they could have a conversation with me. It's a very small hotel, and she'd come and keep me company and sit down. She's an old lady in her 60s, 70s, and she loved the fact that we could have long conversations and that we were very similar, and that she had someone to speak with. And she had been coming to Cardiff for years. They were living in a caravan, a static caravan. They'd been coming to Cardiff so she could have her cancer scraped. So the hotel, and the sad aspect of the hotel, it was near the Velindre Hospital, which was the cancer hospital. It's the cancer hospital in Cardiff, and so lots of people who stayed in the hotel were visiting, sometimes long term for chemo and stuff. It was very sad. Like you'd watch people dying, basically. Um, really, really hard. The smell of chemotherapy as well is not something people understand. Someone who's been radiated is just like there's a distinct smell about it. It's really sad. It's a really sad thing. But she used to have it scraped. She used to have her cancer scraped out. She's still live and kicking, really well. Except she had the jabs, and since then she's got ill with other stuff, not with the cancer. So I would suggest have your cancer scraped. Mm. No, they ain't human. Toby Keith died suddenly. Oh wow! Yes, apparently he did. Domestic violence. Oh! Ellen says lizard people gotta warm up under the heat lamp every morning. Kirby and Blinken. Ever notice they keep their tongues in their mouth, or it would be darting out and licking the air? Yeah. Oh, if that's true, Elon DARPA Musk, yeah. I mean, Elon Musk he's made so much money from Department of Defense, from DARPA, NASA. He's, I think that something else is happening with Elon Musk. I think something much stranger, much bigger is happening. The technology moves really fast, and you know how they say they are always like a couple of generations in front of us. That's if you think exponentially, if you had black and white TVs, CRT televisions, TFT screens, plasma screens, LCD screens, nowadays a few generations up from that is just like 3D holograms. So we the technology, all the technology we got, if they're a couple of generations ahead, that's really far ahead now. They are really far ahead. So people like Elon Musk are super powerful. Someone was warning me earlier about going in against Musk because he could just like he sees his platform as his, so he could just crush you in a moment. He's a very scary man. Putin said Musk is unstoppable. Yeah, maybe. Kelly, lovely Kelly. She's just become Kelly's just become a patron. Thank you for your support, Kelly. Really do appreciate. I mean, I really do appreciate it. Everybody who's helping me at the moment. I mean, it's life's hard. Life's hard. Johnny, do you believe the royal family are descended from alien sea monsters? I'd like to say no. I would really like to say no. But I don't know. They're very strange looking guys, aren't they? They're very strange looking guys. So I would say tentatively no. No, they're just monsters. They're not from the sea. They're just monsters. Um, I didn't know Younkerman invested in Grok. Interesting. Yes, I think he spelled Grok with a Q. But yes, it's true. That came up in the first Younkerman article I wrote. The Younkerman, the IDF linked Bond girl who's infiltrating the UK NHS. But if you look in that article at the range uh, of the range of I'm going to go and find it now. It shouldn't be that hard to find. Younkerman IDF. She's always a couple of links away. The actual list of companies is astounding that she's involved with. She really is. So here you go. It's Shanghai Really Sports, Ziggurat, Thousand a Child, Aloha, Jobio, Emoticast, LV, Auctionata, Coin Drums, Spoon Guru, Optio Pay, Grabio, Magnum Global Ventures, Songza, Towson Kind, Revolut, Sentient Technologies, Here Be Dragons, Soundtrack Your Brand, Grok, Catapult, Delivery Club, Relate IQ, Dollar Shave Club, Brewhouse Breweries, Cage Warriors, Eagle Alpha, Gokix, Rebuy.de, Travelbird, Health Tech Digital, Oakwin, Skynet now. You say Skynet. You know what I mean. Nostal, just to say over on Rockfin, Nostal Tarumo, who's in the live chats over there. I'm not sure if they come up over here. Um but that includes Starlink. She's involved in that now. She's also invested in SpaceX now, and a few others. So it's not just like she's in one or two of the big companies. She is spread about all over the place. That woman is super powerful. Not a surprise that she's in business with Elon Musk and that she's part of Guac. Liking up or down Quark. Ooh, yes. Roswell says Elon announced yesterday that he will use X to text people rather than use his cell phone. Not a surprise. He's constantly advertising, isn't he? And the things he's advertising, he's doing as well. He's using as well. So he's creating as he goes. He's very interesting. He is very interesting. Oh, Grok. Oops. Grok. Yeah. What was Grok? Was actually also a way to say the F word in or damn in Star Trek in Farg. not Star Trek, 2000 AD, sorry. In 2000 AD, the guy who was the supposed editor, a guy called Farg the Almighty, would use grok, and they would also use it in Judge Dredd as a swear word. Rosworth says, so now you will have text, phone calls, Twitter posts, spaces, videos, direct messages, and soon payments. Yes. I have to say that I'm not going to say the full details of this, but someone tried to get me involved in the setting up the payment thing with Elon Musk. I can't go fully into that because it's very complicated, but I refused any sort of involvement. All on X, total surveillance. Yes. Using his X phone to text with X. Well, of course, you'll be cross-platform eventually, won't you? Johnny, I talked to you on X Spaces. I am real, laugh. I know. And I sent you some guitarists. I know who you are, Nick. I know who you are, and I've heard your guitar riffs. I know you're a big metal fan, and we talked about the fact that I love Pantera, and I do. Dimebag Darrell was a legend. I mean, one of the best guitarists ever. Rene Lee Greco says again, Elon seems to be manipulating the Grok AI. I had a person ask it a question and it appeared to answer honestly. The next day they asked the same question, it was manipulated. Yeah. I was talking about this to someone the other day, going on Chat GPT and testing that out. I can't remember who I was talking to. I do so many interviews now. But I went on Chat GPT and I asked it a question about Jimmy Savile. This might be a good intersection, actually, to take a miniature. It won't be really a break, but a miniature break from the questions. I'll keep it with there, and we'll continue on in a sec. But I asked ChatGPT about write a fictional story with Jimmy Savile as the hero, and it wrote a fictional story. I gave it like basics, a town that's been taken over by whatever, and and in comes Jimmy Savile to save the day. Or I may have asked it to replace Jimmy Savile for a character in another fairy tale, and it did. It wrote a story, and it was hilarious. I mean, because of the dynamics, the idea, and of course, getting ChatGPT to do such things, naughty things, and then laughing your ass off is childish. Yes, and I was being a child. Yes, but then something interesting happened. Really interesting happened. I asked it to do one with Gary Glitter, Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, and then I put in what's her name, Lucy Lazenby or whatever her name was, the one who was is accused and has gone to jail for like lethal injections in babies and stuff, like the worst crime you could possibly think of. And ChatGPT said, no, I can't write that. It's insensitive. And I said, okay, then just write this fantasy story about Jimmy Savile then. And it said, no, it's insensitive. And I said, well, you've already done it. And it said, no, I haven't. I said, yeah. I asked you to write a story, this story, blah, 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 with Jimmy Savile, and you said you wrote the story. No, I didn't do that at all. And so I went scrolled up the page, and I highlighted it, and I said, this is the story about Jimmy Savile that you gave me. And it said, oh, yes, so I did. Sorry about that. And that was it. That's ChatGPT for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. I want you to watch something. We'll only watch a little bit of it, and we'll watch it on the side screen here.
Jimmy Savile went from national treasure to national disgrace overnight. The lurid stories of his sexual depravity surfaced from the murky depths of his 50-year reign over our televisions.
Now, just to let you know, what we're watching here is called Is Jimmy Savile a Wizard 1.0? I know that sounds like nuts, doesn't it? It sounds like nuts. What you're watching a program about asking, is Jimmy Savile a wizard? And this is the very beginning, just after the trailers. This person is just going to give us the reasons why they think Jimmy Savile was a wizard. Some of the reasons. It'll take a few minutes. And before you watch this, you think, oh, yeah, whatever, Jimmy Savile was a wizard. And after you watch it, you're like, oh, obviously, Jimmy Savile thought he was a wizard. So then the intention and the output of what he does is wizardly, you could say. Let's watch. You'll see now what I mean.
Now seen as Britain's most notorious paedophile, the popular press described his actions as those of a monster. But was there a darker motivation for his crimes? Was Savile in fact a trans-dimensional sorcerer who harvested occult energies to feed his hunger for power? James Wilson Vincent Savile was born on October the 31st in 1926.
So here they're going. They're saying the I should probably tell you guys. This, of course, isn't the most amazingly edited at times. Sometimes they leave loads of space, and sometimes they don't leave any space at all. You find, but they go through the etymology of the word Halloween. I mean, that's not any evidence to that Jimmy Savile was actually a wizard, but he was born on Halloween.
He was the seventh son,
which in ancient folklore meant you were born with magical powers.
His co-workers suspected he was a witch. As a Bevan boy, Jimmy Savile's fellow miners thought Jimmy Savile was a witch.
Now then, nobody but nobody ever did 8 hours down a pit and came back as immaculate as the set-off with white shirt and everything like that. They were quite convinced I was a witch. If you go to South Kirby now, you'll get some of the old miners when you say, Jimmy Savile's done well, hasn't he? Ah, and you'll look around and you'll say, he's not what you think you know. The forces of darkness are at work there.
He had influence over people from all walks of life.
I am like a sewing machine needle that goes in here and goes in there. But I'm also eminence of grease, the grey, shadowy figure in the background. The thing about me is I get things done and I work undercover.
A stray television crew, a dozen reporters, 1,000 autographs. He attracts attention like a Roman candle. Jimmy Savile feeds off people.
Jimmy Savile liked to mix with people from all walks of life. By day, crisscrossing the country to meet the man on the street, and by night, hobnobbing with the rich, famous, and influential. Here are just a few of the people he knew or had associated with. The Beatles, Peter Sutcliffe, the Pope, Ephraim Katzir, Elvis, Esther Ranson, Margaret Thatcher, Ted Heath, Gary Glitter, Norman Tebbit.
Holy hell in a handbag. Did you just hear that last bit? Like, you know.
Jimmy Savile feeds off people.
Jimmy Savile liked to mix with people from all walks of life.
Yes.
By day, crisscrossing the country.
Now, I'm not sure if that's Canon Peter Ball. If that's Canon Peter Ball, he got sent to prison for molestation.
To meet the man on the street.
Also a very close friend of Prince Charles.
And by night, hobnobbing with the rich.
Here, Cliff Richard here. Rumours are that he used to go to Elm's guest house to molest children, and his pseudonym was Kitty.
Famous and influential. Here are just a few of the people he knew or had associated with. The Beatles, Peter Sutcliffe, the Pope, Ephraim Katzir, Elvis, Esther Ranson, Margaret Thatcher, Ted Heath.
There you go. They just say Ephraim Katzir.
Gary Glitter.
Ephraim Katzir. They just stick in the former president of Israel, and Elvis and Esther Ransom and Gary Glitter, Margaret Thatcher. Now, for people who don't know, Esther Ransom was pretty important. She used to host Childline. All of these people have some form of links, except for maybe Norman Tebbit and the Beatles, but some sort of like traceable link with child sex.
Norman Tebbit.
I remember so well you at Stoke.
Diana Spencer, Prince Charles, Prince Philip, Frank Bruno, Alan Franey, and many, many, many police chiefs. Savile was also a Knight of Malta, a Knight Commander of St. Gregory, and a Knight of the Realm. Jimmy Savile seemed to know everybody, yet nobody seemed to know Jimmy Savile. Publicly, he played the part of court jester, but privately, he held an almost Jedi-like position of influence over the highest and lowest life forms of British society. What was it that made Savile so popular? Was it his looks? His wit? Or his charm? Or was it something more sinister? In October 20...
Well, we'll leave it there. Right, I'll just move that away. Ooh, we'll leave it there. We'll have a little bit more, another 3 minutes of that a little bit later, because you start to see some other things. We'll get back to questions. But as you see, just to make a note about King Charles and his friends, his friends included Jimmy Savile, included Canon Peter Ball. One of the people who was his close confidant was raping young boys in the palace for years. There's lots with King Charles that has relations with these people. And then if you look at who Jimmy Savile's related to or has relations with, it's everyone from Peter Sutcliffe to Gary Glitter to Peter Ball to a load of other people who have all been accused. Ted Heath as well. I mean, it's quite amazing. But let's get back onto the questions. This is Ask Me Anything. And the beautiful, wonderful Malu. Hello. Hello, Malu. She's one of my favorites. We've talked in X Spaces. She's had me on her X Spaces. Her last one was called A Female Orgasm. And so why I would be the person to come up and talk about that? Well, ask Malu. How can you be so sure Epstein never slept with women like Nicole Youngkerman or other adult women? I can't. Apart from his own testimony, or the testimony of girls, what they said he said to them. So he made it clear to them that he didn't want them to bring back any girls who were over the age of 18, 19, 20, and 21 was just way too old. And that came up in Haley Robson's testimony, but that does not necessarily mean he didn't sleep with underage girls. He didn't sleep with girls who were over the age, or ladies. Obviously, him and Ghislaine Maxwell had some sort of sexual partnership, so that's clear that he could. And he had a relationship with multiple. There was one woman, Marla something. I think she was an early fling of his, and often people who develop such tendencies don't act on said tendencies and talk towards young people, don't act on said tendencies until later in life when things get stressful. So that's one of the things that you have to. But I see him if you profile him, he has the profile of what's called a preferential paedophile. So he preferred. Ghislaine Maxwell always felt unsure of her position because she wasn't a young child. So that had to obviously be eventually, once he got into who he was, by the time he was maybe in his 30s and 40s, he was looking for very young girls. And he knew what he liked and he wanted that satisfied. So that comes out in all of the evidence, in the fact that over a 10-year period, he had roughly 8,000 sexual massages with girls who were 18 or younger. Mostly who were 14, 15, 16. That was the age. And when you see a repeated theme like that, humans are very simplistic. Humans like certain things and repeat the same patterns over and over again. The only thing that changes that is extreme amount of stress. And so unless he had this ability not to be stressed. When you hear other testimony about him dealing with really high up people, he had no worries, he had no fears, he felt like he was protected. When you hear Bradley Edwards talk about him, others talk about their interactions with him, well, you know, he was in Starbucks Boca Raton with the lead lawyer for the victims. They were arguing all the time, and he was being like, Brad, come on, let's just get over these cases and let's get on to something new. You know, he was just matter of fact about it all. Oh, so what? I did all of these things. It doesn't really matter. No one really cares. That's how he felt about it, and he felt that he was untouchable. So by that time, he was just aiming at young girls, and then all of the pictures you see of girls he's seeing are all young girls. So does not mean he couldn't have had sex with ladies, but by what I've seen of evidence and by his actual traits, his criminal traits, he had once had relationships with older women, and that faded, and Ghislaine Maxwell eventually became his girlfriend and cover for his sex crimes. And Ghislaine Maxwell was sexually attracted, by what the evidence says, to young girls who were extremely scared, who were extremely nervous, and that power and control was the thing that turned on. So it's about his, you know, his category of paedophile that he was as well, which seems to be a sadistic preferential paedophile, which was the same as Ghislaine Maxwell, which is really rare that a female and male would get together like that when they're preferential paedophiles, and want to exert control and power over systemically like they did. So then that systemization of it, of the abuse and of the behavior, the criminal behavior, allows you to see regular patterns, and the regular patterns that emerge. This is also why when you look at the witness testimony, you have loads of girls who tell the same story over and over again, and then you can spot when there's one or two where the story's completely different, and suddenly Epstein isn't acting like Epstein anymore. That's super rare, and it seemed that by the time he was in his 50s, he knew exactly what he wanted, and he was after very young girls. So it's not like he didn't. But and so that would include the time that he would have met Nicole Youngkerman. I think that his attraction to younger girls made him less threatening to the older women who could abide such behavior. So they could accept such behavior. Say certain people could have a low enough moral and ethical sort of base that they said, okay, well, you know, I will make money off this guy. I don't care what he does, and it means that he's not going to be targeting me or aiming at me or coming on to me. So I'll know my role, and I think that's how it worked with him. It was very useful. Okay. Oh, there's a question mark. There you go. Pizarre. Is that like Pizarre, as in Samuel Pizarre? That's what I'm thinking. Is just sorry. The next one is that like Pizarre? I was wondering if Pesa, if it means Pizarre like Samuel Pizarre. But I still, that's somewhere where other people who have been involved in the Epstein case have treaded more than me. I've not really gone there. Stoner Horoscope says Alan was brought up. He was also into sea exploration. What was the goal or intent of Terramar? Well, I think it's obvious, isn't it, that they're desperate. They're desperate to have some form of sea base where they could get up with all of the nefarious business, all of the nefarious. You know, these people are living through the same time that we're living through. What movies were you watching? When they're creating the ideas of Terramar, what movies were you watching? Were you watching The Abyss? Were you watching, what was that one with the Great White and Samuel L. Jackson with the underwater base? You know, there was loads of movies where you had these underwater bases where people now lived under the sea, and you know, and the point of them in each of these movies it was either about the exploration of underwater or was about hiding away, but didn't have much sense to them. Yet when you look at what they were doing, I think they were looking to create some sort of sea resort, some place that no one knows about, that's in the middle of nowhere, where no planes fly over, no ships sail by, and could be a new world for them. So I imagine you want to. It's like, in a sense, that's like a reverse Atlantis. Think of it. Think of it like that. It's like, the Atlantis being that it got lost to the sea. Well, what if you could have the most technologically advanced city based in the sea? And no one knew. Everybody else, we're all muggles. They basically got technology that's indistinguishable from magic. As they say, good enough technology is indistinguishable from magic, or advanced enough technology is indistinguishable from magic. Maybe that was what they were looking for. They were looking to making this place that was a place where their technology they could test on people without laws. Remember, the laws don't exist if you're not in a land. And so that must roll around intelligence head. So I would believe Terramar already exists. If it's much more likely that Terramar exists in the form that they were thinking eventually, like some sort of sea base for the wealthy elites and the establishment, and a place to do nefarious business for intelligence agents outside the world of nation states. Very much more likely that they would have developed that than they would develop spaceflight. Maybe that's why they were all concentrating on it. Oh, look, Abe's in the house as well. They go back to Marie Antoinette. Cutting the locks. Yeah. Oh, passeurs. I think it's a white. There is a Pacer family, so I don't think it's bizarre. But yeah, Ian Carroll does loads of good work on stuff. He's very clever how he does his videos. I like it very much. He's a very nice, polite boy. Pacer, there you go. 2 and 1. He is protected. Here we go. No, she wasn't his daughter. Never. Yeah, she wasn't his daughter. She was adopted. Yeah, she was an adopted girl, wasn't she? She was an Asian girl. And yeah, no. Hey, listen. Don't think that I think that Woody Allen is the most innocent guy in the world, but trying to understand what actually happens in that world. Those movements where you've got the Me Too movement and stuff, and Black Lives Matter, and they start off with an innocent idea and then they turn into this rolling ball of revenge. That's what we get. We get a movement that's made to do the right thing, to gain equality for a group which feels undermined, devalued, not part of society. And then soon, power and greed rushes to the head, and they're all like, oh, let's destroy the world. Everybody else must go. We are right all of the time, and we have become corrupt, the thing that we don't want to become. That's why I'm thinking. He never adopted her. Her adopted dad was Mia's second husband. There you go. So there you go. So no, Woody never met Epstein. Yeah, I wonder there. I'm not sure about that, Malu, because Epstein met absolutely everyone. At least once. Everyone in the world met Epstein. Even if you didn't know it, he got around. But no, Woody never met Epstein. I don't think necessarily they did. But I think they did live across the road from each other. Because the house he bought from Guido... No, the house that Guido Goldman helped sell to... what's that bloody family? How can I forget those? The Bronfmans. That was opposite Woody Allen's house, I think, and Bill Cosby's house. So they were very close in that sense, close in actual distance. It doesn't mean they knew each other. It's New York. Keep track of that underhandedness. Let's see. They all knew what creatures. Yes. Reports of high-tech craft transporting children. Very likely. Thanks, Johnny. Yes, I used to see Paul Allen here in Portland Trailblazers game. He owned a team stadium. God, it's nice to have that sort of money. And always had quite young ladies next to him, which looked out of place with his... Yeah, he's grotesque, isn't he? I mean, you can't get much more grotesque. Always seems shady and typical philanthropist type. And I think some ties with Isabel Maxwell, but I'm not positive. Well, tech firms, loads of these guys on the high level have relationships with the Maxwells, because the Maxwells sell tech that get into their tech. You know, that's what everybody knows what they did. We asked Grok if Siobhan Zillis is the mother of Musk's new kid, and Grok said yes, then went into lengthy detail. DM me the screenshots if you can. If you DM them to me now, I can show them possibly on here. Let me find X if I can. Ooh, got loads of. There you go. Ah, yes. No, but my computer goes crazy then. Gary McKinnon found the list. Yeah, Gary McKinnon was a strange one, wasn't he? Gary McKinnon was a strange one indeed. Actually, a little bit like batty, but he did download. Gary McKinnon was the guy who, I think it is who you're talking about, is the guy who downloaded a load of... He managed to find a computer with a default password on NASA or somewhere, and downloaded a load of stuff that he shouldn't have, and then he got in loads of trouble. And he was like, I got Asperger's and I just like doing things like this. And they were like, all right then. They were trying to extradite him for a while. Rosworth, question. A Q at the beginning does help. I have to say, gang, a Q at the beginning of this question... ask me anything, it does help. What do you honestly think is going on in the Western world currently? Bloody hell! Whew. We have a cultural Marxism, mass immigration, trans ideology, net zero degrowth. What do you think is actually happening? Well, all of this is destabilization for a kind of reset. I was talking to someone about this. I was just talking about exponential growth. So technology gets grows by 50% each time, 50% faster. So by the time we get to the stage we are now, the amount of growth that we had from the last big leap of technology is like 50% faster each time, until it gets to a point where it's just like zoop. Technology can make itself. Robots and AI can design themselves, and humans don't need to be involved anymore. Then you have robots doing the mining, robots converting energy, converting mass, making things, transporting it, robots putting it up, robots installing it, no humans there at all. So then you have the ability to grow massive cities extremely quickly. And so it'll only be as fast as the robots can mine, and the rights with ESG and Sustainable Development Goals that will stop that rising. At the same time, we're waking up. Yeah. So at the same time, we are realizing that they are flooding our countries with desperate people on purpose to destabilize countries and to stop us from being able to have a space to think. There things like trans ideology, etc. Well, instead of resting in the middle ground where they should, where we've all had friends who have ideas of who they are that we don't necessarily agree with, but don't affect anybody else. So those are the type of people that we're like, yeah, we're fine with those people. But what they do is they try and push, you should let your young daughter be alone with someone who will just who is desperately targeting young kids but is just dressed in a dress. They go to that extreme, and we all go bah! And you know, it's all more disruption. It's all more disruption. We're all more confused. Net zero, degrowth, all of this stuff is because we're waking up at high speed, and they need to, you know, fracture our ability to wake up, because at the same time we're waking up, the technology's rising, and it's going to reach a point, like it is now, that we see how the strings are attached, how the puppet master strings are attached to the events that are going on. So we know that they are the ones who are pushing out the ideology, pushing out technology that will harm us, pushing immigration in a way that will be damaging to our societies and to our cultures, trying to mix us into being like confused at each other's throat. That's important. At each other's throat, not at their throats. That's what they want to stop. And as we wake up more and more because of all of this stuff, and as it picks up pace, so do our cages that are being built by robots. So those mega cities that we see in China, you know, the people in China weren't waking up and didn't have a chance to wake up at the speed that we in the West are waking up. And by the time we wake up, we'll already be in the prison cage made by a robot. So we'll be in prison awake. And that's a problem for them, because that means they can't get to that. They've got to keep us asleep. And to keep us asleep means us fighting with each other all of the time. So nearly all of it in the Western world is them trying to get us to fight with each other. So the majority of people, or even the big minority, the minority that can actually make change, won't wake up in time enough to be able to warn other people properly to stop our cages being built. So by the time we'll be awake, we'll be in the cages, and we'll be stuck in their version of reality. And then it's really hard to go back, because, you know, you retrain your mind. Sometimes other people retrain your mind for you. So we may not right now want to be in that situation, but once we're all at each other's throat 10 times more than we are now, once we're all having fights all the time and society's falling apart, we'll be very happy for our cages then, maybe. So I think that's what's going on in the world, personally. It says the West being subverted, like Yuri Bezmenov predicted. I mean, I suppose Bezmenov predicted the same thing with like mixtures with like things like Kalergi, what we call the Kalergi pan, which really is just a couple of paragraphs in a book, which seems to roughly hit what we think's kind of happening automatically. Fabianism, all of this sort of stuff is subverted. What was there to subvert in the first place? What was the West? What was the West? What are we in the first place? Because we all think that they're subverting something, but we're constantly creating this atmosphere from scratch. We're pretending that we've inherited this wonderful freedom and liberty and the ideas of freedom and liberty from recent times, but we've got no freedom and liberty, and we haven't been practicing that. So we've just been in a pretense the entire time. So we've still not got there, and it was never like that anyway. We were never free. We were never liberated. We've never been free. They've made sure of that. Our election processes mean that we are never free. So the West can't be subverted, because the West, as we like to imagine it, never existed. Never existed at all. Rene, who is Siobhan Zillis, by the way, did ask it about Amber Heard's kid being Musk. Is wow. I didn't know Amber Heard had a kid. That sounds like an awful time to be a kid. It's an awful thing to say. Abe, what's your favorite segue fact story to get normies into truth behind conspiracies? Oh, yeah. Your favorite conspiracy theories? Yeah, what is that? God, that's a hard one. Okay, let's. I'm going to think about it. Let's watch a few more minutes, just a few more minutes of more of this. Was Jimmy Savile a wizard? Because this is a really good way to get it on, because this might be the answer.
The Sunday Sport, the only British newspaper still bold enough to print uncensored stories, quoted Savile discussing how he discovered he could hypnotise girls.
To demonstrate, you'll see, and choosing a girl who was already fast asleep in her easy chair, I stood behind her, passing myself off as first her mother, then her father, you'll see, and finally boyfriend. We had a lively patter going. I was convinced she was awake, you'll see, and just playing along with me. Taking again the part of her mother and asking her what she was doing in bed with all her clothes on, sweet horror, did she not stand up, you see, and start to undress? Telling her to stop, and in the nick of time, as it had been a warm evening, she was handed to her girlfriend with instructions to be put to her bed. The next morning, you see, expecting to be denounced and dismissed, I was shattered with relief when she stood next to me in the breakfast queue and gave not the slightest sign of recognition, you'll see. Now then, years later, in the Isle of Man, I met Joseph Karma, one of the great hypnotists. Telling him the story, he was not surprised, you see, and suggested I should study under him and not finish up in the nick.
The Isle of Man is well known as the centre of Wicca in Britain, where Gerald Gardner, the father of modern witchcraft, ran a museum devoted to the faith.
What I remember so well is taking him into the Palace of Westminster. I've taken many guests in over the years, but he's the only one who was simply waved through security.
Yes.
He used magical signs and language.
Let's analyse the phrase jingle jangle.
Jingle jangle.
It can be broken down into two words. Jingle, a catchy array of words in prose or verse, and jangle, which means to chatter, argue noisily, or whine. Although both share the same Germanic root, jengelin, jingle evolved to mean a catchy song in an advert, and jangle to mean a whiny or discordant sound. However, we have also noted the yin-yang, phonetic, abstract, onomatopoeic nature of the phrase. Jingle jangle is also an autological phrase. It describes itself. It is both a jingle and a jangle.
In the occult world, language is an extremely powerful tool. Since ancient times, magic words have been used by magicians to cast spells and invoke spirits. Some are well known to us now, but others have remained obscured through the ages by the secret groups who still use them to this day. This is why we spell words.
Take a word like abracadabra.
Abracadabra is an incantation used as a magic word in stage magic tricks. The first known mention of the word was in the 3rd century AD in a book called Liber Medicinalis. During the Great Plague, Londoners were said to have posted the word on their doorways to ward off sickness. Aleister Crowley, the infamous magician, regarded it as possessing great power. He said its true form is abrahadabra. So even a seemingly harmless word can have a more deep and esoteric meaning, and a much more powerful and potentially harmful effect than presumed.
Savile. So, if you want to know what the favourite segue, I was walking in the park, walking my doggo, walking little Bella, and I met a guy called Hugh. Hugh lives in the area. He's mostly grumpy. He hates everybody from every single country. He hates any sort of reference like to culture. He's not interested in basically everything. He'll have a go at everybody, and he moans all the time. He has managed to cleverly get all of the local kids, the young kids, to walk his dog for him, so he doesn't even have to do that. And he sits on the bench and he moans constantly and tells everybody how they're wrong all the time. And so he's frustrating. He's a frustrating human. You can't. Can you imagine going to tell a conspiracy theory? I'm conspiracy minded, yeah. So I've had many conversations with you over the past few years. You know, I know his family. He knows me. He doesn't know my family. Probably best. You would just moan at them, and they'd moan at him, so it wouldn't be any good anyway. And we were talking about something. Now I can't remember what it was. It was some conspiracy of the moment, and he was just like, he told me I was dangerous. He said that I smoked way too much weed, that I was a conspiracy theorist, and I was manipulating people's minds and making them not know what they were thinking. That's literally what he did. He did. We were sitting on the bench. It was very strange. I was sitting there with a few people. We were all smoking weed. I gotta admit that it was me and a couple of people who were. But by where I live, you have like a halfway house for people who have been made homeless for some reason, end up in temporary accommodation, and they end up living by me basically. And those people get to know me. They get to know me very well because they're like usually pretty rough. And round by me, people are a little bit like, you know, they're not exactly the roughest. So I've got a rough area. It's like it's right on a borderland. So there's like really well-to-do people and really rough people as well. And they get to meet me very quick because, number one, they meet Bella, and number two, I grew up in rough areas with rough people. And my dad was from grew up in the roughest pub in Cardiff. I mean, you couldn't get rougher than the Dusty Forge. So I've always spent my life with really rough people, and so I get on with them really well, and I can speak their language. And you know, we were sitting there, and it was all we were being nerdy wells. But Hugh, whatever conversation we had, he got really peed off. The next day, after he had been, and he was very rude. I have to say, he was very rude. You know, I was like, Hugh, I do a hell of a lot of work, and I still smoke weed. All my facts are based with like evidence and sources. I don't call fiction facts. I actually do the work. But he's never read any of my work. He's never looked into what I do. He doesn't. He's in that world. He's a normie who thinks all normies are wrong and all conspiracy theorists are wrong. So he's a really abstract one. But the next day I saw him, and we were walking down the street, down through the park together, and he said, "Oh, did you see that new Jimmy Savile documentary?" When that Jimmy Savile documentary came out recently, he was like, "Oh my God, it's awful. They were all working. They were all there. Everybody knew." And I was like, Hugh, it's like it was some form of conspiracy at the highest level. Like, somehow, Jimmy Savile was given access to molest children, and they knowingly molested children, like he had the protection of the royal family and the politicians and prime ministers, isn't it? It's almost like it's a conspiracy. And we got to that point just as we were coming up to his house, and I've never heard Hugh so silent. Never heard, because Jimmy Savile is a perfect way to explain conspiracies to people. Because when I was a kid, Jimmy Savile he could not do any wrong. Everybody saw him as one of the best people in the country who did the greatest things for the most poorest off people. He had cast a spell over everybody. People now who say, "I knew Jimmy Savile was weird at the time," usually mean they started to work out Jimmy Savile was weird once he no longer had his spell cast over people. Now, maybe the late 90s, early noughties, around then when he was just way too old to keep up the pretense. And we watch him now and we go, oh my God. Well, it was obvious. So now we know it's a conspiracy. Back then, before people admitted it, it was a conspiracy theory if you said it, but no one said it. It was basically like I'd meet people all the time who go on, who go out their way. I had one guy, Mo, who used to, when I worked in the Holiday Inn in Cardiff, he used to sit in the chair every night after he finished work. He'd go have a drink in Callahan's, the pub next door, and he'd go and sit in the chair and he'd finish his pint while he waited for his taxi to take him home. And Mo would talk about a few things, rugby, a couple other things, but one of the things he always loved to talk about was how wonderful Jimmy Savile was and how he met him, because everybody met Jimmy Savile. This is another thing. Nearly everybody in this bloody country met Jimmy Savile because he run round the country constantly. He constantly run from place to place to place. Ran, doing marathons, ultra marathons over and over again, constantly running around. He was constantly on his feet. He kept really healthy, fit. He was really focused. He knew what he was doing, and he looked for possibilities, so he created possibilities all around. I don't know who has I think Savile would have beaten Epstein in a pervert battle, hands down for sure. You know, no doubt about it. Savile outperved the best of them, and he had influence at the highest level, and he went from north to south of this country, and he got away with everything. Everybody covered up for him. Everybody, and nearly everybody who got close to him knew there was something wrong. Some saw it happening. Some experienced it, and even them themselves, they could not admit that it happened. So I'd say if there's anybody, conspiracy-wise, it would be Jimmy Savile. It would be. I mean, that maybe that doesn't help the American audience, because I know, Abe, you're from the UK. But the American audience might have a harder time with that. But you could possibly find that Epstein is the perfect example, and that's why it's so awkward, you know? Explaining a conspiracy to people, you're like, well, look how conspiratorial this was. What we got next? Zillis is his Neuralink doctor and also mother of his twins. Yeah, he's got problems with like battles with the mothers to see the children as well, I believe. Which I can fully understand. Is you know, Musk is living a human story as well. He's living a human story. That means he makes mistakes too. Remember that. I wonder about UFO and aliens, mainly because of the atmosphere would most likely kill them. Yeah. As well as the light years it would take to get to our planet. That's why I think that the most obvious thing is that, and here we go. So this might be, this is what I've always felt. If UFO sightings are real, what my thought is when I've thought about all of the dynamics is that the most likely communication we're going to get with a alien creature would be at such a long distance that they wouldn't be able to send matter. What would be the point? You expend all that energy to go see some downgrade, run-of-the-mill planet Earth that's got human life, only up to human life. You know, what's the point? There's go all of that way, expend all of that energy, unless of course you can make free energy and you could go around, you can multiply yourself, and you're no longer based on time. But then you'd say, well, why would you want to be traveling all of that way then anyway? If you've got to the state of enlightenment, you know there's no point in looking outward for what is inward, and you can find a place of peace. And there's certain points you get to where you're like, okay, this is you think esoterically, and they're not coming to Earth. But what if you can't get to a point where you can leave a planet because you robotize, you know, everything turns into a machine, and soon humans themselves become transhumans and then become machines, and then no longer have the same desire to go and meet other creatures. There's no point in it. because there'll be plenty of stars and other things and asteroids to mine, and they don't have the same relative way of thinking because it becomes a lot more logical. So what if the most likely sign we're going to see of UFOs would be light? We know that light can travel faster. Can it travel faster than the speed of light? Probably not. But light is as fast as you can go to the speed of light. So what if we could send a message, a light message across the universe to some faraway planet, to scan to see if it's got any life, to see if anything comes back? Because if they've got high enough technology, yet they've not been turned into robots or transhumans yet, then they would be able to send a light source back. And then you would have ability to communicate through light. And that means a lot. I mean, once you're able to control communication of light, you can actually maybe send masses of data across time and space. That would be amazing. But what if you weren't up to that level of technology? What would you see? Maybe you'd see a light in the sky, a pattern in the sky that moves weirdly, that darts across, suddenly appears there and suddenly appears there. You know, that would make more sense. And then the movement of what is reported of most UFOs and most UFO sightings would then make more sense if they were light sent across a galaxy or even the universe from planet to planet. Because then, as the planet moves and as light moves, a slight variation would cause a massive, quick movement that would make something look like they could move and suddenly disappear and all of that. But maybe it's just like a light, a form of technology, and that's about as far as we can get. So that's where I think that's where I'd go with that. You're right. It would probably kill an organism. Why would you want to do that? Well, you'd probably send robots. Then you'd have to have matter that can move that quickly at that time. That doesn't make any sense. The only thing that you could get would be light. So I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone else. He's a very strange character. But I don't find Musk to be highly intelligent. Yeah. Honestly, sometimes he acts very stupid. On X, people were comparing him to Howard Hughes, but he's nowhere near him. Yeah, Musk seems to be Asperger's. He seems to not be able to rationalize sort of thing, how to behave and emotions, and he doesn't need to care about you. That's it. Any being capable of traveling space-time instantly is highly intelligent, sophisticated spiritual beings. Is more to our senses can interpret. A good dose of mushrooms to unveil the truth. Yeah, but also, I mean, it could just mean that you enter into a spiritual, esoteric world once you become like that. So yourself, you will learn how to transcend the want to travel across space and time. Before you get to the point of traveling across space and time. I worked with Twitter research remotely for 8 days for Elon's takeover, and I had interaction with him on the research. No, he's not a genius and mainly steals others' ideas. Yeah, that's what... Hey, really successful people, I think that's what they steal from people. Really successful people, they steal from people. They know how to steal from people. Bill Gates... we all know that he stole technology. Nathan Mervoyd, who worked early on with Microsoft and other companies, went on to do basically industrial tech theft. That's what you would call it, where they looked for copyrights, poorly copyrighted technology, and copyrighted it correctly to knock out someone else's copyright. That is dirty games. But these guys, yeah, they all steal. What was Epstein doing? He was just stealing other people's stuff. Paula, hello. Hi, Johnny. Question. After Epstein was released from prison, the Dutch government let him have the harbour of St. Martin. Ooh, what's the connection with the Dutch? Oh, damn, there was somebody who was... who emailed me. Oh, God. it was when I was doing the Pottinger stuff. I'm sure it was last year, literally about a year ago. Someone messaged me with a load of information about the Dutch side of Epstein. And I really wanted to look into it, but I was really busy with other stuff. And I was like, oh, make sure you come back to me with this. So I think that person went on to actually write an article about it. So there should be information out there. I would assume that they let them. I would say connection with the Dutch. If you want connect, he looks for wherever there is money to be made, and he's obviously trafficking or moving. So I would think like port wise, Holland makes sense, but also Schiphol Airport is like really I would say personally, my experience of Schiphol is like one of the central hubs, European hubs for going on to other places. Like you go through Schiphol quite a lot, or it's an easy place to go as well. And also the Netherlands is so loved and so visited, especially the Dam, Amsterdam. I think there's a lot. I think a lot of it would have to be about either moving goods or transportation. It might be that Holland is a good place to have meetings and feel safe about having meetings. Everybody's pretty cool with the Dutch, but there's also like, don't underestimate the Dutch royal family and where they sit on a hierarchy of royal families in Europe. They're not just big, I mean, doesn't Spain swear allegiance to the Dutch? There's something very special about the Netherlands, something very special that seems to be also, I think, Swedish, Dutch. They're both the same. They've got something special that we don't know. Maybe a royal family that are able to mingle about the people, form different qualities, have different qualities. But I would think there's a royal angle from it. Anyway, I don't know, but someone has written that. I will go and I will search my my Twitter DMs and I will see if I can find the person and send it to you. If you could DM me on Twitter, that would be useful as well, Paula. Just to remind me, because I promised to do a lot of things, Cancer is grown from more than food. Thoughts and emotions play a big part. Yeah, I agree with that. Lizards don't have bum holes. I'm going to skip that one, Rosworth, but good one. Okay, I will put it up. They don't take dumps. They call butler to take the vacuum, says Alan. Yes, it's true. It's true. Hi, folks. Hi, Dark Commission in the house. Heat lamp, yes. God has a sense of humor. That is all I'm going to say. Charles waits for his entire life to be king. Yeah, I know. That feels like a story, though, doesn't it? That feels like a story. A story that we tell ourselves as well. That and then the king comes along and he gets cancer. And it's, well, that could be a ruse. They are humans who have knowledge and esoteric wisdom up their sleeves, yes. They keep truth hidden, confused. Yes. What time is coming to an end? I don't know. I just don't know. Enron companies. Okay, I'm looking for some more questions. Intelligence networks to stay a few steps ahead in narrating the story by listening to your fears. Yeah. Have you heard of Robert Edward Grant and his Orion messenger? What are your thoughts? No, I haven't. On whether it can be trusted. It is an alternative to X. When I feel that Musk and X, he take over Twitter and he's turned it to X, and he always knew probably in about 2000, he was already aware when he first made X.com that that's where it was heading. That it was heading towards an all-in-one app dash website. So I think he's got there first. I doubt anybody's going to be able to keep up with him and get his sort of trending. You know, I was trying to explain to someone on a podcast why what Musk is. You know, Musk is a meme. His mum made him into a meme. Musk's mum, May Musk, May Musk, made Musk into a meme. There you go. There's a tongue twister for you. Say it 3 times and I'll give you a father. But it's true. May Musk knew completely how to brand her son, and she did a good job of it. But she created him into something else, something that was just, you know, that meme culture. You can put Elon Musk onto any meme, and he remains being cool. How's that? How's that? Because I don't see that, but still, when I see the memes, I'm like, that's pretty cool. How is that? Whatever she's created him into, and he's created himself into being, like, jointly, that's something special. And so he has got there first. I think he has got there first. He's high up. They're already done. I thought it was Jock. Yes, of course it was Jock. Yeah, the swear word. Ah, you're so right, Dark Commission. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. Uh-oh. After listening to Dr. Shiva, dun, 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 I'm skeptical of anyone who is linked by any secondary or third-party associations. Yeah, I mean, Dr. Shiva offers you a very scarlet pill, you know, between red and black. It's not completely dark because there's an opportunity for a different way, isn't there? That's what I like about Dr. Shiva. What I don't like about Dr. Shiva is that he's so blunt, and that darker red is a dangerous place, but it's a place we are at, whether we like it or not. So at the same time, I think that having eaten the dark red pill is a dangerous thing for wider society. We're already there, so we can't stop it anyway. So he's very much right in that. He's very interesting, like system science. It's very interesting. Aubrey Marcus, longtime friend of Joe Rogan, who's endorsing Booby Kennedy. Oh man, it's so depressing. It's so depressing because I've had, like, at one point I wasn't allowed to say anything bad about Robert F. Kennedy. I wasn't allowed, or I'd get shit at home, and it was just like it ended in a crescendo, and it's nonsense. It's so nonsense. Rogan and Aaron Rodgers were full of shilling for Booby on their recent podcast, like 3 or 4 times, 100% propaganda. So glad to see Dave Smith doing a podcast with Kennedy and completely and utterly exposing him and not backing down. Really well done to him. Yeah, it was blatantly obvious what they're doing. They keep going back up to vote for him, you know, most definitely. I've been cleaning my subscriptions after listening to Dr. Shiva. Be careful. Zamatoshi's here. What's going on, my friend? Nice to see you. Patterns of probability. Ever investigate Jimmy Savile's various visits to Israel? One film taking a boy on a Bible history trip. Holy hell, no, I haven't. Oh, God. But Israel is... It's a special place. Also, quite clearly a Christian Zionist. You know, there's a few of them around. Don't tell Julia Hartley Brewer. She'll go crazy at you, Zama. She'll go crazy. I do like you, Zamatoshi, though. Just want to say that I do like you. Speaking of Terramar, did you know that one of the UN Sustainable Development Goals belonged to Maxwell's Terramar, SDG 14 to be precise? Jesse Matchy on X has covered it on his X threads. Love Jesse. He tells it amazingly. but it's all one long stream. If he can begin and middle end his stories, he will blow everybody's minds. That guy's got so much knowledge, and he's like the helicopter pilot that he was once upon a time. He's fast, straight down the line, no messing around. Love Jesse. I think he's a sweetheart as well. I think he's a really sweet guy, really nice guy. I just want to say that. Knighted into the order of Prince Danilo I of Nation of Montenegro. Have you heard of the knighthood, and the royal family, Mount Black Montenegro? No, no. Have I not? No, I'm going to have to look into it more. I've done like the side of the royal orders everybody knows about, and the ones that are made up by people like a guy called John Kersey, who I did a very early article on. And he went round carefully finding all orders that have just like dwindled or disappeared and taking them over and becoming the head of them. He's a very silly man. But no, I don't. Send me something. If you want to send me something, you can send me something. Maybe it'll float my boat. There's a spot in the Antarctica, there's a no-fly zone. Yeah, I think there's a few places where we don't fly, but definitely the water is somewhere interesting. Terramar was a cover. You need to look into Scott Borgerson. It wasn't Borgerson who she was living with at the end? And that was only about 150 miles away from Montreal, across the American border, wherever they were. Hi, Ellen. Yeah, yes. Never been here before. Hey, Grassy Knoll. How's it going? It's a good name. I like it. Don't know what it's related to. What could it be related to? Does anybody know about any grassy knolls in the world? I whenever I try and spell knoll, I always have to go and double check because I always get it wrong. He was on board, connected to shipping, illegal trade. Terramar was their non-profit cover. Not surprised. Let's see. Have we got any questions? Johnny is answering questions. You ask anything about Epstein? Oh yeah, I know a few things. Some things. Oh, there's more about Borgerson. Borgerson founded a shipping company called Cargo Metrics. Also fellow on the Council of Foreign Relationships. Oh yeah. Yeah, we like that. Just wanted to ask, says Mr. Alex, 789. Are you aware, after the Vince Macron traffic, the people to defend Vince want legalized, and media start to even push this? Explain a little bit further. You said this at the start. You said that same bit. What do you mean they want rape and sexual assault legalized, and how are they pushing that? I'd be very interested to see that. Oh, we steal Play-Doh snakes. I like you. Did you know in Ted Bundy's FBI files, good way to start any type of sentence, it shows he lived with federal agent that went on to work in Operation Deep Freeze. Ooh. He was also the bodyguard of Repub Art Fletcher and Republican Art Fletcher, and a member of the Rockefeller Commission. Really? Now, am I being silly, or can you please tell me what Operation Deep Freeze is? You could tell me further along the lines. I'll catch up with that. That is some Jeffrey Epstein, Jimmy Savile level stuff as well. Yeah. I tell me, Mr. Alex, what do you mean by pushing them in the? Because I do believe they do push these agendas. Did you know Gavin Newsom's father was close pals and traveled with paperclip Nazi Otto von Bostring? Listen, all of these people who go in power, they learned from the powerful before them. And one of the most powerful was the Nazis. They were like, how do we do what they do, but get away with it? And that's how America was made, modern America. It was really weird because in the 40s and 50s, America was trying to make itself not look like a behemoth. Soulless void of emotion on a governmental level, not on people, because people, it's got loads of culture, it's just trying to subjugate those people, and that same thing is trying to present itself as a non-subjugator at the same time as subjugating everybody in the world. How do you do that easily? It's not. It's a bit of a twist. And they were trying to present themselves, and that was very much the CIA were very much made at the start. Kermit Roosevelt, Virginia Gildersleeves, Dorothy Thompson, these were idealists. These were people who believed in something greater, and that they could create a soulful America, and they could project that image over. And at the same time, the soulless America was using them to further their agenda, and then pushed them out of the way in 1967, and all became Zionists. And then they lived happily ever after. Ask him about William Barr's relation to Epstein, says Grassy Knoll. Who's asking me? Are you asking me? Yeah, well, you know, the Barrs obviously had close relationship with Epstein. I mean, the father trains Epstein, and the son seems to handle Epstein. And the Barrs seem to be not like related to multiple different agencies, nation states, and groups, and clubs, and all sorts of other things. And they were like four religions and fantasy books and all sorts of dodgy stuff going on. People who've done more about William Barr and stuff, and his relationship with Epstein, are people who have covered more the early years of Epstein. And most of my coverage starts probably about, well, apart from I've done a bit about the Iran-Contra stuff, I've done a load of research in the 80s in his rise. And then it's really 1987 when Wexner comes into the picture onwards is my area of expertise. So that's where my area of expertise is. I keep trying to explain this to people. I know the basics about his relationship with William Barr, with Donald Barr, and with the different people who are around during those times. But it's all like from as much as you'll know from what other people have told me, and from working with people, and from listening to different podcasts, and from reading different things, and from helping, I suppose from helping researching and writing bits of One Nation Under Blackmail. But like I say, I was tackling the later area, apart from Wexner and the Jewish groups. That was an area where I also concentrated on, which I think went into volume 1. He wrote about ocean issues, also interested in Arctic. You're still talking about Borgeson, definitely. We could do a space about this, Amatoshi. I really want to get I would want to start hosting spaces. I've got to get the blue check to do that, apparently, so I'm probably going to do that. I like Russ, but he was doing stuff that Jimmy already covered. Right, I saw your post and followed you here. Yes, he goody gumdrops. That's what the next. Yeah, I think they're not going to legalize rape and pedophilia so easily. They're not going to. What they're going to do is make it so that the court system will break under the pressure, and certain things have to be accepted. That's what they'll do. They'll make the legal system fall apart by either underfunding it, undermining it, or whatever. I listen. We did. I've already done the incremental push. Look down there, Johnny. You need to have me in his next X Space. Well, I haven't actually. I've always been a co-host. I've always been at the moment, because I don't have the blue check. I am currently a co-host. And also I'm doing it on a PC, and it bloody hates you doing it on a PC for some reason. I find that really suspicious. I think it's easier for them to scrape data from mobile phones, maybe. But yeah, I Nick, you'll be welcome. Trans ideology is really a behavioral modification LARP that feeds the goal of population control, adopting a cult ideology that's really Huxleyan eugenics transhumanism that will mesh with it. Yeah, I agree. I think trans ideology is more than just a one thing. A lot of it is to get us used to the idea of transitioning from something to something else, and that takes time for us to understand. Ooh, let's see what we've got here. Future of nanotechnology is mesh with the future of nanotechnology. Yes, I thought you were asking me about the future of nanotechnology, but oh god, that's a long one. JV is answering question today. Yes, I am. Thank you, Alan. For example, patent number 10. Ooh, send it to me. I'd like to see more. CMB, a new person. Without being negative, just a look at society. We haven't a chance at most. We'll just be sheeple when the shit hits the fan. The problem is when the shit hits the fan, everybody goes, like everything falls apart. You know, that's the way it is. If they were to move some of the linchpins of society, some of the keystones of society, everything crumbles around the whole house. It becomes local communities are the most important things. What happened in the pandemic? Who did you see more than anybody else? Who was the most important people in your lives? It was the people who were close to you. Once society breaks down, it's always the people who are completely and utterly close to you, who are your brethren, who are your friends, and you should remember them now. And not, with all this technology, it distances from the outside. And, I talked earlier about Hugh, lovely Hugh. I like him. I like him. He causes me pain and he annoys me no end. But I like him. I like who he is. I like the fact he's a member of the community. And once it comes round to the shit hitting the fan, well, that guy knows how to keep chickens, and other things like that. That's very useful. And suddenly he will be my best friend if he needs be. We can argue all we like, but he also knows that if the shit hits the fan, he'll have friends in me and my buddies. And that's what community should be. That's what we got to do. So shit hitting the fan don't mean nothing, mate. Not as long as you've got perspective correct, which is the people who live next door to you and down the road. You're free to do what they tell you. Yeah, indeed. Some love between Grassy Knoll and Alan going on there. I like it. More pattern numbers. Send them to me. Oh, Marianne Hyatt, stop vomiting. Will you stop vomiting? This is going to be it. Jimmy Savile was a demon connected to everyone in the UK and US. Yeah, he was. Completely and utterly. A demon is the best way to describe him. Yeah, some serious words about him then. Everybody. Oh, look. Enron Musk, he must be related. Thank you for your great work, Johnny. That's me. Are you aware of Ashton Forbes and the leaked MH370 videos he has been investigating? What is MH370? Is that one of the flights that went missing? And no, I don't know Ashton Forbes. Always interested when I see the names Forbes. It pops up everywhere, doesn't it? Do you know, Forbes was in the Pottinger family too. Stanley Pottinger's brother was David Forbes Pottinger, kept named for a previous relation to the Forbes. In Bill Gates' family ancestry, he marries one of the ancestors marries a Forbes. Not Israel Gates. He marries another Gates. He marries one of his cousins. But Forbes pops up all over the place. Of course, you've got Malcolm Forbes as well, and the party in '89, a year before he dies, with Robert Maxwell, Elizabeth Taylor, and all of these upper crust there. It's quite an amazing party. So Forbes comes up a lot. And I'd be interested to see someone who's breaking the system and is called Forbes too. That'd be interesting. I don't know about him. Be interested to know. Send it to me. If you want to send it to me, send it to me. My DM's open. This is a good doc. Dig, Occult Wizardry of Savile. Yeah, Savile also had an infatuation with Lan and primary Myra, Ian and primarily Myra Brady. And those two were into some ancient witchcraft practice. Be careful of witchcraft, I tell you, be careful. People who believe in witchcraft can make it manifest in their actions. We're going to learn today, baby. Yeah, maybe we are. He molested thousands of kids. You must be talking about Jimmy Savile. Not Ashton Forbes. Right. And have we got any? Well, what have we got? He was also a necrophiliac. Yes, that is what is being said. It's all birds of a feather when it comes to the royal and their friends. For example, serial killer Russell Williams, flying Queen Elizabeth. There is something about the royal family and the distant royals that they love to be involved in the satanic side of things. That's what I discovered in the Black Hand series when I was researching that. Really, a lot of the spies in Britain were get off me, cat. A lot of the spies in Britain were aristocracy when the war ended. They're the ones who got to be spies, and then they all ended up loving hanging around with the satanic panic people like Hod Dibbin, who were starting to seed in satanic panic. Look out for an Eric Hunley, another Eric Hunley podcast I was on where I go through Hod Dibbin. That'll be coming out in the next couple of days. Oh, Hod Dibbin. I'm also developing a series about Hod Dibbin secretly behind the scenes, but it's a comedy audio series, so we'll talk about that another time. Volunteered at various hospitals. Jimmy Savile, yeah. Apparently abused patients in the morgue. Savile and the Yorkshire Ripper. Yeah, there's loads about this is interesting. One of the Yorkshire Ripper's attacks was in full view of Savile's flat in Leeds. Not a surprise, yeah. Likely he was visiting him at the time. Harry and Meghan's funding of Cuties, the Epstein title. Did they fund that Cuties movie? Oh, dirty rotten bastards. Add all up to pretty self-evident birds of a feather. Yes. Right, I'm going to look for some questions here. So I'm going to try not to skip anybody's. If anybody's got anything that they want to ask in particular, try and stick a Q before it. That old Prince Valiant meets Carol Channing spell. Oh. Indeed, Sutcliffe was also a Freemason. Yeah, it's okay. Everybody's having a nice Jim will fix you conversation here. And there's a lot to have a conversation about Savile. He was a pretty awful guy. And here he comes. Look, as always. Look how big that is. You want to read that while I'm looking for a question down here? Mercutius loves to, hello, always loves to have a long one. Yes, it is. What Crowley did was create a thick veil, thinking he had decoded the Kabbalah, which is not what he did. He simply worked off the speculation made of all that is inside the sphere of human influence, without any insight into the natural science that remains outside the sphere of human influence and inside the sphere of common experience. Really, the way light gyrates on the surface of the planet informs all disciplines generated, the protractor and astrolabe, and as such in and there's more to come, I'm sure. Mercurius likes to do long. That was long. Look, there's another one. Hi guys, how's it going, Mika? Mika, hello. It's nice to see you. And more patents. I like to see this coming up. There's a lot. Elon is cool. But I'm still unsure about him. Yeah, he's cool, but don't listen. Cool ain't good. Cool ain't good. Not in this world. You got to be careful. Definitely have to be careful about who you follow and who you trust. Honeysuckle will probably tell you Musk is the Antichrist, a puppet that appears to be more than he is, yet he is nothing. That's pretty straight. You can't get straighter than that. Just like Bill Gates. Yes. Right. Oh, Alice. You steal my heart, Alice. Hello. Hey, Johnny. Thanks for sharing all these precious informations with us. Bless you. Missy, madame? Or mademoiselle. I don't know. Ce n'est pas. Oh, God. It's so difficult. Parler français, c'est difficile parce que mon cerveau est fatigué et c'était un long temps avant, depuis, je parle français régulièrement. Whew, it's very difficult. I can sing in French very well, but speaking it after speaking loads of English. So I'm going to wind this up. Looking for questions. Looking for any more questions. Silence them with pleasure and pain. Some fantastic conversations going on here. Ooh, here you go. What's your next project? Says Lorianne. Oh, Lorianne, I recognize that face because you came to me on something and I want to know more. Well, I have a few projects. One is right. I got to continue with. I got 2 articles almost finished writing. So they're like kind of like the past projects, but they got to go somewhere. And I'm seeing if UK Column want them at the moment, but they're being very slow on stories at the moment, on articles. So those are going to come out. I've got 3. I like to keep multiple projects going, and they usually reach some form of like crescendo altogether. So, of course, I'm going to have to do the Searching for Stanley season 2, which is, in a sense, most of it's already research. I just got to work out how to do it, then collect all of the information, and then start studying contextually each thing, like Iran-Contra, October Surprise, Occidentals take over of, or attempt to take over of Mead, things like that. I've got to try and like work out how to put into documentary form. But there's 3 series that I'm really working on. One is to do with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I think I'm so fed up with people. This is the job I do, right? So if I wanted to explain the job to people, I'm not going to go chasing after like little bit over here, little bit over here about Robert F. Kennedy. He's obviously there's something wrong, and everybody's like now saying, "Oh, look, Booby Kennedy, oh, he's and all of this," and everybody can see that he's like what a Zionist. He goes flip flops on stuff. He speaks a good game, but then doesn't put up with a good game. So you've got to tell that story. Someone's got to tell that story from start to finish with all of the nuance in between for people to understand what is that person without I've got I'm gonna have to do I do what I do every time, which is just put down all the information in chronological order, whether I like the outcome or not. And I already have started that process. I've started that process with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I started that process with Matthew Pottinger, and I've started that process with Elon Musk. So I'm working on a few series at the moment. Which order they come in, I think is probably going to be the Pottinger legacy, then RFK Jr. Then there's probably going to be articles about the Fabians during the election season, especially because I have information no one else has about something that happened in the past that blows open a whole conspiracy as well, which relates to Fabianism. And then, really then is a Spaceman series that is going to be going along with what I do. I've also got a fairly big project of trying to form. There's a couple of books in the works. Trying to form the first book is really important. The first book, if anybody can see this tail in the face, is one of my cats, of course. She's trying to get me, charm me into giving her cat treats. That's what she's doing. She's currently biting my leg. It's very unnerving. One of the books that I'm trying to write, this is a little freakier. She's a tuxedo with a Hitler mustache. Hitler cat. I like a Hitler cat. Cat Off Mittler was one of my albums back in the day. The Rise of Cat Off Mittler. So yeah, I got a couple of books in the works. I'll be honest with you. I've only mentioned this a couple of times. One of them is Jack the Ripper. So I know who Jack the Ripper is. I've known for about 2-3 years who Jack the Ripper is. The story will blow your mind. And man, my life took over. I was going to start I started properly heavily researching and writing that in 2019, 2020. And then my life took over. I ended up in Chile, writing for Unlimited Hangout, doing the Schwab series, doing cyber pandemic stuff, Edelman articles, leading me to where I am now, all the Youngkerman stuff in between, the research and all of my life and how that went, Pottinger's stuff. So it's all got in the way. But yeah, there's a Jack the Ripper book. I'm going to save that for my second book for sure. Maybe third or fourth book in actual fact. If it's going, because like I know that I've got a really brilliant book line, like probably already mostly researched, that relates to the Pottinger stuff. And if I write it, it's likely going to turn into a movie one day. So it seems like I should. And it is such a brilliant story. So, I mean, the thing is, I'm hijacking just factual events, you know. I don't have to, as you know, if you come across a story when you research in fact, a really good story with a beginning, middle, and end that has got loads in it, then you're like, fuck, man, that's amazing. Come up with that as a fantasy, to come up with that with fiction is really difficult to come up with it and do something good. When you find something like that in the factual world, it's so much easier because you just put down the facts in order, and you just hijack reality in a sense. You're just taking reality and you're sticking it on a page, and yeah, it's a really, really, really like a really important book. So I'm hoping that's a project. So I've got a few next projects. I got a few different projects going, and in between I want to kind of I because of the style of to gain an audience and to have enough money to be able to write books and do all of that and to make money so I can live and pay my rent and stuff. I've got to increase the amount I work talking with you guys as well and doing this sort of work and trying to raise funds elsewhere, so that I can get to that stage eventually, and then it'll be kind of self-propagating. Hopefully if I can write one book that's good, then it can make some sales, and then I can just do my work and everything else will follow naturally. I'm not someone who's desperate for wealth and glory. What I am desperate to do is tell a few stories that I think are really important. And I do that in two ways. I do these long form series, article series, and I think they're going to be formed into books eventually as well. So, you know, Schwab's life and his whole everything can be written into a book very easily. I've already, written 50,000 words or something on it, you know, in that sense, including all the articles and other bits. So yeah, sorry to go into a little bit of detail there. I lived in Holland for 5 years, hated it. Massive Bible Belt running through the country, a small country. Yeah, I when I went to Holland, I just spent a lot of time in Amsterdam, man. You can imagine why. I like to smoke the weed. Right, I'm just going to skip over a few. Ooh, here we go. Rosworth, re Epstein in the same as San Martin. He had a 50-50 partnership with Andrew Farkas, owner of Montauk Yacht Club, and Island Global Yachting, IGY. The article that I said about had yachts on the front of it, so that makes a lot of sense. And I do remember something about yachts. I've skipped over a couple of things, but I'm looking for questions. 50-50 on the yacht. No, that's interesting. Speaking of Montauk Project, the son of Sam was arrested. He had a Montauk Golf Course business card on his person. Well, I don't know about any of that. Embrace the paradox. Good laugh. Here we go. Are you aware of the Council for National Policy? No. Send me something. I like the sound of it. Definitely coming at the end here because I'm losing my ability to speak, I reckon. I think the French finished me off. C'est difficile par français, eh? I promised myself to throw myself into the Welsh language before I ended up in Chile, and then I had to start learning bits of Spanish. I wasn't very good at that. So I'm going to go back to trying to learn more Welsh. Hopefully that'll open up my mind. Welsh is a brilliant one. Hey, thanks to whoever just dropped me some bucks. Like, making money in this business is hard. I need all the help I can. You can support me on newspaste.com, johnnyvedmore.com. There's loads of ways to support me. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, but it's hard because I didn't start off with this idea of wanting to make money. I was hoping someone would offer me a job eventually, but that's just not. Ooh, hey, Halsey, you come out Erskinis. Only Scots I think I'm related to, but you look like a dark-haired version of me. Ooh, any kin from West Midlands? Yes, or Mortimer's maybe. Yes. Well, I may have a bit of there may be a bit of Scots Irish in there as well, and Northern Irish there is definitely, because one of my my great grandfather was Orange Order, dong. And my great grandfather, Lewis Vedmore, was born in Cannock in the West Midlands. He was born had to be a link towards hanging around with coal miners in the Black Country and then coming down to South Wales to another Black Country, And there's a lot of similarity between, I think, the yam culture, the culture of the North Brummie. So for people who don't understand what I'm saying here, Birmingham in the West Midlands, there's a northern bit. There's got Wolverhampton, Walsall, Cannock, some other places in there, West Brom, and they all talk like this. When they're talking, they're always like from Birmingham, and they're brilliant, fantastic. Like I got brought up by Wolverhampton guys, but yeah, some relation there. Naughty people from all around the country. That's what I'm related to for. I answered. I did try and answer the William Barr question. That I don't know as much as some other people do. And that William Barr's close relationship with Epstein looked like it was some sort of like as a handler. I know people believe like there was a visitation in the prison just before, but there's also no real evidence of that. But yeah, I would say I would again revert to people who know more about that era of Epstein, about Epstein's early career, and my knowledge of his relationship with Barr is lacking, quite simply. I'm not sure how many more I can get through. RFK is a Quarkin's a shite bag. Yeah, I said in a British way. Oh, Mayor Magloof, hello. I've been trying to work out Shiva for ages. Been wondering if he's controlled opposition. Well, what can you do? You have to you have to decide whether or not the statement someone makes stand up for themselves. And a swarm is pretty. System science is a very interesting way. If it's like Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson can give you some good tips on psychology. You might not want to follow him to the toilet. There you go. If you understand what that means, I think I do. Seduced by New Age quantum physics. He means Shiva. Uh-oh. See, Whitney Webb accepted funds for Kennedy. She won't say anything bad about him. Which apparently she has said something a little bit bad about it. But at the end of the relationship was a couple of weeks of us arguing about Kennedy, and then me leaving because that's what she wanted. Because she felt very strongly about the whole thing. She was getting deep in with Children's Health Defence, of course, having the she met Kennedy when when they had her as a speaker for Children's Health Defence. They paid for her to come out to America, and the Solari report, Catherine Austin Fitts, who's also Kennedy aligned, also funded articles from Whitney and looked after him while they were there, and like she had selfies with Kennedy and stuff, and she was very cooey about him. I want so cooey about him. I do think he's a Zionist, yeah. I can't say Shiva is a member. Yeah. I'm not sure. I can't say. I know. What I can tell about Shiva is that he likes to fight. He likes to tear a few arseholes. I don't mind that. Don't mind it. Terraman, the opener of the North Passage, controlled weather modification serves northern cultures who believe, since Nietzsche, that is Hyperboreans, the grifters of culture, a lie that is informed of flourishing cultural supremacy. I'm just screaming through some of these now. Russ on the Jimmy Dore show. Oh God, what, Russell Brand was it on the Jimmy Dore show? Yeah, not a surprise. I have to say, one of the investigations also I didn't mention, one of the things I'm doing is an investigation into the funding of the independent media, because since I've explained this to guys before. I went 3 routes, ended up in the same place, and I got loads of information about people and how they're funded, and none of it makes sense. I've made out a couple of public calls. I wouldn't mind speaking to Max Blumenthal about some of it as well, and the grey zone, and see what he's got to say about some of the things I found. Dr. Shiva is the real deal, a real underdog, not fabrication like Booby, as I keep seeking for answers. Yeah. Too bad about WW. Well, man, the whole thing. There's so much more. There's so I didn't want I didn't want to say all of the things that I've already said, because it's a bloody relationship. I was in a relationship. We got a child. She's cut me out of his life completely. Won't even give me updates on him, and it seems like it's just going to head to conflict. It can't help but to head to conflict. I think that's something that she does. She's very much like her mum, very much. And if you hear what she says about her mum, then but she's very much like her mum, by what she's told me. Hodgy ho. In my honest opinion, when shit hits the fan, we all become Gaza. I've said this to a load of people. That's why someone was saying, why do you feel so strongly about it? You're not Jewish or something. But it's true. We are all at the end. We're all in the end gonna end up like Gaza if we allow it to keep going. Tons of articles on newspaste.com. Newspaste.com now, I've made it so it's easier. Let's see if I... Sorry, I'm going to make noises like that every now and again. Do apologize about that. Let me just show you what I've been doing. I think I can do this. I think I know how to do this. Ba 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 ba, and then I touch this, and then I bring up this, and I say allow. A boom. Right. There you go. So you see there. Right. It was sharing the screen. It's got now drop down tab. So if you want to see any of the Schwab series, it's easy. Epstein 101 series, easy. Pottinger series, including Newshounds, easy. Youngkerman series, including read throughs, easy. Black Hand. Another read throughs coming through tomorrow of the Black Hand will be out tomorrow. Other articles down there. I still got a few articles I haven't added down there. You could search NewsPaste. You'll buy me a coffee, become a patron, or support me on Ko-Fi. Ko-Fi seems like an interesting platform. You'll watch any of the Pottinger Searching for Stanley, read any of the articles. Whatever's most recent is usually up here, me on the Mel K show. My most recent articles, loads of stuff, podcasts with Shiva there, Gloria Steinem stuff, spaces. I mean, it is just, NewsPaste is just full of information, loads of stuff, loads of articles, loads of series, loads of people. Oh, the Murder of Stanley Setti, that is a brilliant series, really interesting. Linked up with the Black Hand, you could actually read it before the Black Hand series. Oh, let's remove that. We're back. So I do have tons on the website. Honestly, I've been building up content for quite a while. Synopsis on Massimo, Crime Syndicate. What have you seen? Right, Obstructor Gadget. Someone sent me something about this. I don't know if this is you who sent this, and you don't want to actually mention the name out loud. Is interesting. Massimo, it does look interesting. Now, listen, I did a lot of research on the Italian families when I was looking into Nicole Youngkerman becoming Countess Bracetti-Peretti of the Bracetti-Peretti family API oil. That was a pretty big move. And so I did a lot of research. I remember looking at the Garibaldi family, or Grimaldi, sorry, family marriage, and all these big names. I've not been able to go into them enough. I know that Italian crime families seem to be above most. So it's pretty important. I'd like to know more. It's going to take me a while to get through the stuff that I'm going through to get to Italian families. I got to be honest. Did you know Richard Ramirez's cousin was in the Phoenix Project and introduced Richard to the Church of Satan? No, I didn't. I bet you Dana would. Dana Doodah, she'd know that. And the CBC won't make payment too far from home. Yes, of course. Oh, hello. I'll host you on X. Oh, Lorianne. Message me. Let's do it. We'll do it. I like it. Right. I'm looking for questions. I'm going to flick through. Enjoy the rabbit hole. Oh, there you go. There you go. Can't post links in the chat. His YouTube page is Ashton Forbes. Send it to me on Twitter if you're on there. Elon is a baddie, says Christine M. Osgood. Good. I agree. Other people don't, and they agree very strongly, or they disagree very strongly. There's a question coming up as well. Enjoy the rabbit hole, my friend. Thank you. I will. Did you ever see Tony Robinson's investigation on finding the real King of England? And the fella he found lives in Australia. Are you talking about Tony Robinson as in Baldrick? No, but I kind of do remember something. So I feel like I've read it somewhere already, or someone's already told me this information. But I take it you mean Baldrick. A big fan of Blackadder, of course. Must work for Microsoft at the beginning. Yeah, help pirate codes for Gates. Yes, he did. Nah, he ain't cool. Yes. Oh, here's a question. Yep. Can you please post links to your website? That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Posting links to the website. In the description of this video on YouTube, you will find a way to support me on NEWSPASTE. But the best way to find me on NEWSPASTE is actually, let me just put it in. There you go. And also, of course, if you want to, oh no, I accidentally muted the page. Let me do that again then. And if you, of course, hey, if you want to support me, there you go. There's support there too. Any support is useful at the moment. Life is hard for us all. RFK Jr. No, don't vote for that offering. So amazing. It's so amazing how it's just changed. There was so many people. I did a poll a while back that said, which one of these didn't go on Epstein's plane? And I put like, I know, or wasn't in Epstein's little black book, sorry. And I said like Trump, Biden, Henry Kissinger, and RFK Jr. And the majority of people said RFK Jr. because it was before he made the Zionist comments, and everybody was a fan of him. And it's just like, wait, oh my God, he's really annoying. I was trying to make people understand then, you know, you don't have the right idea, but I was doing it gently. And then he made the Zionist comments, and everybody was like, I'm really far behind on this. I'm going to have to skip through for the questions. Bananas. I just turned in and was about to ask about Jack the Ripper work was coming. Nice synchronicity. Woo, Antimatter, thank you for your support. Looking forward to that. All the best. I promise you something special. That is a project that I have to build up in a way that means that I am going to introduce the best case for Jack the Ripper ever throughout history. I've looked at every single case that people have put forward. Every single one of them I pulled apart in some way. I ended up in this one place where I could not pull any of the information apart. Only the more I looked, the more evidence there was. This is beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to that. Seriously, thank you so much for the support. I really need help right now. So it's really important. Question. Was JTR a royal or associate of the royals? No! There you go. That was an easy one to answer. All of that was bullshit. The majority of people at the time wanted it to be someone in particular. Most of them wanted it to be a Londoner. It made more sense to them. But it's just not so. It's just not so. It's not as easy as you think. Definite man of the world. Definite. I'll just say that. Definite man of the world. Definite creature of his country. What was the true objective of Terramar? I was saying earlier, it was really, I think, to create an ocean base where they could get away with their dirty work. Where they could basically have an evil base, like a Bond villain base in the sea, where no boats will go by and no planes will sail over, no one will know exists. And can you imagine what they could do out there and a different world they could create? I wish Matt North was still around. Kid was sharp. Yes, he was. Dead. Yeah, I was. We have a baby together. It's complicated. I might vote. That's not Dr. Shiva. Me and Dr. Shiva don't have a baby together. Me and Webb had a baby together. I might vote for Dr. Shiva just for the heck of it. Yeah, I'm going to go on a campaign of don't vote, spoil your ballot. That's my spoil the ballot party I think I'm going to create. Hey man, fellow Welshman, Diamond, the Diamond 909. How's it going, fellow Welshman here? Did you see the Alex Jones, Elon Musk, and David Icke interview? No, someone tried to get me to go and have a look into that, and I was really interested in doing it, but it just seemed like, I kind of guess I kind of guess Icke would come out more sensible than the others. I haven't. I'm very interested to see where that goes. So tell us. Did you know John Gacy, Ed Kemper were members of the same club as Bill Gates, Richard Nixon, and Bill Clinton? It's called the Waterloo JCs, now in the United States Junior Chamber. Yeah, I've heard about this. I'm sure Stanley Pottinger was somehow involved in something along these lines as well. If you look up the United States Junior Chamber on Wikipedia, it's there. Okay. Oh, we got Christine again. Hi. People look up to Elon because of the stories spun about his genius status, but he's not that smart. It's obvious, yeah. Dr. Shiva exposed RFK on being a fake vaccine questioner as well. Yeah, I know. That's really, really low stuff, you know. That's really low stuff. Right, we're coming to the end, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're coming to the end. And I know Wikipedia isn't finite, but I know, no. Best way to look at Wikipedia is go to the edits on the page and look what's been taken out. That's what I always find. And then do a comparison between now and then, and it'll show you the bits that are now not in there. That's up on, if you're on the phone, it's usually at the bottom of this, when you scroll down, look at edits or however it is, and you can do the same. It's like top, what's that, right-hand corner of the screen. If you're not, and there you go. If JTR wasn't royal, I know who he was. He was American World Fair Castle in Chicago. No. Right, gang. That's my first Ask Me Anything. Like proper, like I've done a couple of lives already where I go through the questions anyway, but you know, I really want to do more of the Ask Me Anythings, test the ground, see what people are interested in, see what I should go and research, because to be honest, I need to go and do a lot more research into certain things. The topics that come up here where you're talking like William Barr, well, I should be able to answer you all of the questions about that, but that means really memorizing other people's work, and I tend to concentrate on my own work and my own like areas. The people in the Epstein case have looked at certain areas, and that means that they've like less knowledge in this area and less knowledge. So this is useful for working out what I should be looking at as well. Really appreciate all of the comments. Really appreciate that there's lots of people having a conversation in here. It's perfect to think about the angle. The most recognizable face for the anti-vax movement has ties to that sign. Perfect for them. Yeah. And Diamond saying, great stuff. You're right. Ike coming off best. Yeah, no doubt. Ike is a wise boy. He's not, you know, he's not a one-hit wonder. He's not a one-shot pony. He's a very clever guy. Ike always has been. All of the Ikes are. Jamie Ike and Gareth Ike, really, really good guys, but really like sharp. They know there'll be more to come from that family one day. Thank you, Ellen. You Ellen, extra big love to Ellen, who's been there, helped me out so many times, in so many different ways. I thank you so much. Thank you to all of you who have come here today. I went off Ike when Aaron didn't sink into the sea, but yeah, I know. Hey, you know, everybody misses a trick or gets a trick wrong, even yikes. Listen, gang, thanks for joining me. This has been an Ask Me Anything, and you've been there with me, here for me. I really appreciate everything. Good night, y'all, is what I'll say, and I will try and make sure I do more live streams. I'll try and keep in touch in that sense, and hopefully I'll be able to host a space or two soon, and I really want to do a quiz, a conspiracy quiz on X Spaces. I think that'd be really fun. I think people will really love getting involved in that. So if any of you want to be involved in a conspiracy quiz, help with questions, you know, you can also help with questions and answers. DM me on Twitter, and we'll formulate a plan, or you message me through one of the sites, and like NEWSPASTE, and we can formulate a plan and get some questions and answers together and have some fun, because that's what this is going to be about now. We're going to have some fun too. Thank you, everybody. Love you loads. And catch you all later. Ending the stream. Bye-bye.